Hey, welcome back, everyone. It's the Colony Pit, where we catch up with our colony friends and alumni. This is our conversation we're picking up with Jeff Burns, and just a quick recap. Jeff just discussed his early times in Colony, coming from Knox, the town a little out west there, and then heading to Colony and it's Sand Creek Colony, and then after that, going to college up in Hudson Valley for a couple of years, and then heading down to Binghamton, and then he just left off with his time going to grad school in Chicago, which is fascinating. And Jeff, on that note, so what happened after Chicago? You go to grad school, you get your master's degree, and then what was the next step after that?
So I thought I was going to go on for a PhD and become a professor. That was like the goal at that point. I came back home here and I was taking a course at SUNY Albany, like taking some Greek because I hadn't taken that at that point. And I started tutoring. So I actually were for a little bit in Hudson Valley's for a writing center. I was tutoring, doing some writing tutoring. But then kind of through that, actually, I got into SAT tutoring. And so then I wound up doing a lot of tutoring on my own, a lot of SAT, ACT prep, a lot of math, actually. I was good in math in high school. I didn't study math in college, but that's where the demand basically still is today, is for math tutoring. So,
yeah.
And as I was doing that, I realized, you know what? I like working with students, and I don't really love doing all this research, which I had to do even for a master's degree. I did like an 80-page master's thesis, and a dissertation would be way beyond that. And a lot of being a professor is research, to be honest with you. And like that's not what my love was for. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to get a PhD. So tutoring has actually, for most of the past 20 plus 25, I don't know, whatever years, has been my main job, and just working one-on-one or sometimes in small groups with students. And so that's kind of what I started to do right after that. And I also then got into filmmaking very shortly after Chicago as well.
So let me ask you this question. We were talking about this before. So in high school, how did you do on the SATs? I'm always curious how people did. Do you remember what your score was back then?
I do. So I got a 1270, 660 math, 610 verbal.
Now let me ask you this question: were you studying?
I don't know. He might be overqualified for this show, John. That's got to be the record.
I think we
really?
combined ours.
Sure,
we almost topped Jeff.
Yeah. What was that?
I said if Pat and I combined ours, I think we'll almost top you with it. But I was just curious, like, did you study for that, or did you just go in cold and take it?
I mean,
how was it for you?
It's actually kind of funny, right? Because I work with so many students now to prepare for it, and I didn't really. I took the PSAT, which is, that is practice.
Yep.
And I think I got 1140 on that. So when I had 130 above on the SAT, I was like, oh wow, I'm happy with that. It's like that's a good increase.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I might have done because they give you like a little booklet where there's one practice test. I might have done that before it, but I didn't do what I do with students now, which is generally ideally like a 7-8 week prep thing in advance of the test. Yeah.
So nice. So how do you get involved in filmmaking? So you go from getting you have a master's degree, you're tutoring. How does filmmaking find its way into what you started doing?
I guess it really started in my senior year at Binghamton, where my room, I was in what's called a suite. So we had 3 bedrooms, 6 people in a common room. So some of my suite mates and I decided, hey, let's make a film and run around campus and be really stupid. So it was a really dumb film. And, but I mean, it was we finished it. And we actually wouldn't have, except I really pressed for it because they were a year younger than me. And I'm like, guys, I'm graduating. If we don't finish this is never getting done. So we finished it. We showed it in the the dorm, the bottom of the dorm, like the big lounge area. Anyway, so that's, I guess, maybe kind of gave me the bug a little bit for it. But then I don't know, I guess, and again, I think, you know, I've always, like I said, that creative part, I think, has always been there, wanting to tell stories. So I don't know, a little bit after Chicago, I just got this idea to write a story. Again, it sounds real stupid nowadays, but back at that point, I really enjoyed the music of Britney Spears, and that was when she was at her height, right? So Britney Spears was at her height. It's before she went kind of nuts. Which I'm not trying to diss her. I feel bad for her, but you know, she's had some rough times, unfortunately. So I got this idea about like, oh, I'm going to write a goofy comedy about a guy trying to meet Britney Spears. And for some reason I was like, I'm going to make a movie out of that. I don't know how to make a movie. I've never done that before, but you know, whatever, I'm just going to do it and learn on the job. And so I've never had any film training.
Wow.
So all my films, I did that one, made a lot of mistakes, got it, finished it, learned, you know, did the next one, got better and kept getting better basically. But yeah, really, so I guess Britney Spears was an inspiration for my filmmaking, you could say.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how long was the first short film?
It was about 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Actually, it's a long time to be creative to actually get 20 minutes worth of film. That's a lot. How long did 20 minutes take you to actually get?
We would film like, you know, here and there on a weekend, right? That one was very chaotic. It was way too much drama was going on with actors and trying to corral them, and which is one reason I have no actually interest in making films anymore, because it's just a big headache dealing with everybody, and obviously, and I made a lot of mistakes myself. So I don't know. I mean, I can tell you that when I got to my Super Knocked Up web series, the first season of that probably took about 7-8 months shooting, like,
oh wow,
on a weekend here and there. Not, and that is I'm trying to think what that's a total of. That might be a total of about 40 minutes or so when you put all the episodes together.
Right.
But again, you know, people were, which I appreciate. Everyone's, you know, generally people are working for free. We have jobs, right? So we're trying to do it, you know, when we can, when we're free and stuff.
How many total films have you made?
So I made 4 short films and then 2 seasons of my Super Knocked Up online series.
Okay. Now, did you make your first film before or after you wrote your first book? Which came first, or were they at the same time?
The books are actually much more recent. I've only been writing books in the last 3 years.
And how many books have you wrote?
Oh boy, and this is probably going to sound ridiculous, but over 40.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Keep in mind, these are not, most of the, actually none of these so far are full-length books. They're more like kind of novella length.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, some of them are decent length, but yeah, most of them are not super long.
And back with your films, were you filming those in the Capital District?
Yeah. Actually, every film and the web series were shot in the Capital Region. I mean, occasionally we would go out like to Kingston or somewhere not too far away, but we, since you're asking about Colony, I'll try to think of some of the locations. We shot at Curver Cream. I remember because it was in the summer, it's probably like July or something, right? So it was hot. Oh my God, I had to buy so many ice cream cones because every take we have to do a new one because it would melt, you know?
Mm.
And we shot at, I think it might still be there. It was in Stuyvesant Plaza. It was like Josh A. Bank Clothier. It was like a men's store, like a suit store. We shot at this abandoned hospital in Cambridge, New York.
Oh wow,
which was great because it took place in a hospital, and I was like, okay, I can't fucking shoot in a real. Oh, sorry, I can't shoot in a real hospital, you know. So I just, man, that's actually my best find ever. Probably, I just called around and trying to get like, hey, do you know anybody? And connections, and finally they're like, oh yeah, there's this hospital that closed like last year, and I got to shoot there, which is pretty cool and spooky.
Dude,
Nice.
that must have been pretty spooky being in the abandoned hospital.
Yeah, and some of the cast and crew were going down to like, I don't know, like the boiler room or some abandoned room, and I'm like, what the hell are you guys doing? Like, oh, we want to find ghosts or something. Like, all right.
Yeah.
That usually sounds like the beginning of a horror movie. Let's
I know,
make a
right?
movie, but we'll venture off to the boiler rooms. Usually
Yeah.
the first and last
Yeah,
mistake.
well, all right, we'll see seeing you again.
What inspired you to kind of make the shift over from short films to writing books?
So, well, sorry, the actual impetus, and again, this is a really crappy reason, but it was unfortunately COVID. When that, I was in San Diego at the time too, and when it hit, it just decimated my tutoring, and which is never fully recovered, to be honest with you. And Southern California is expensive, so I needed a way to quickly make some money, and so I was like, you know what, I'm going to start writing these short things, pump them out there, and while I not all my stuff is this, but most of my books so far have been sci-fi, fantasy, like erotica, because I know that's going to sell.
Right.
And so that's why I started pumping those out, because I needed to make a living. I needed to be able to pay my rent, and stuff. However, I'm still doing that and doing other, like, just more standard sci-fi fantasy stuff. Because for me, I have so much more freedom creatively. Particularly that I'm self-publishing on my own, right? So I can tell the story exactly the way I want. And obviously, feedback's great, and taking people's advice, but I'm not beholden to anybody. I'm also, unlike with filmmaking, and I enjoyed, lots of those things, and I still have friends with plenty of people I shot films with, but I don't have to worry about everybody involved, right? And trying to get everybody happy and being a psychologist and stuff. And
you know,
just
to find
me.
abandoned hospitals in Cambridge to reserve.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Well, that's the thing, right? And it costs money, like to do filmmaking. Like even if you're not paying cast and crew, you got to feed them. You got to, get equipment and all this stuff, right? Lighting. And with writing, it's me and my computer. That's it. That's all I need,
Right.
And it's just the amount of work I can put into it.
So just curious, how much was your short films, like how much do they average out of your pocket to get made?
They originally probably started around 500 to 1,000.
Okay.
The second season of Super Knocked Up was the most, because we actually did an Indiegogo campaign. That's like Kickstarter. It's a crowdfunding platform. We raised, I think, 7,000, I think, through there.
Okay.
The cool thing was, and this still blows my mind, that I didn't think I was going to get there, but near the end of the campaign, this guy from Norway who really liked the first season, what we were doing, gave us $4,000.
Whoa.
And I was just blew my mind that, like, and that's why we could do the season. So yeah, that was like one of those really cool moments that happened in the film.
Yeah. We so I watched that first season, and I know at the last episode it said season 2 coming. I didn't see it on there. I have to actually go back and look at it. That was one of my questions to you. Did it finish with the second season, or are there plans for future seasons?
Yeah, so unfortunately, well, there were plans for that, yes. Because unfortunately season 2 ends on a cliffhanger. Which I know is not to the delight of anybody. Because I don't like that when you don't get any more. It just honestly wasn't really, I found feasible for me to, like, money wise, to keep upping the game and doing it. What I did try to do is continue it in book form. Mm-hmm. So I have released some of Super Knocked Up. It's called Kindle Vella, which is these very short episodic things that Amazon Kindle does. So you can go on, and a bunch of those are free actually to read. So I have continued the story somewhat past, and I've actually added a bunch of stuff that I couldn't afford to film because it was too special effect heavy. So I am trying to do it that way, to give some closure to it, because I know but that's also the thing, right? Like it's tough when you're doing films and do everything you want to do.
Now, in terms of the distribution of your books, is it primarily all through Amazon and e-format, or can someone go on Amazon and buy a physical
They
book
can.
from you?
Yeah, I do ebook and paperback for everything.
Okay.
They are all on Amazon, but they're also what we call going wide in the book world, which means they're on Barnes and Noble, Kobo, Google Play, Apple Books. They're pretty much everywhere you can get online books. Amazon and Barnes and Noble are the only two paperback people, but the rest are all ebooks. And I'm also part of 3 anthologies, and the 4th one we're working on. Those are also an ebook or paperback. Those are like fantasy anthologies, and you can get those at all the same places. So yeah.
And that's the one I saw there. So how did you get into that one? Because that one was called what? 17 Tales, 17
Dragons of a Different
Tales.
Tale, 17 Unusual Dragon Tales. Yeah, I think it's the whole title.
And how did you get involved in that?
So actually, that did come from a film connection. So Mark Spile is the editor of that and the creator. He came up with the idea to get a bunch of writers he knew together, authors, to do this anthology all about taking a unique take on dragons. And when I was making my Super Knocked Up web series, he was making a web series. And again, at the time I was doing, I would say like web series, which were again usually these like very short episodic things online. Was like a kind of its height at the time. So I was traveling around to a lot of web series film festivals, and I met him at one in LA. And we just stayed in touch, and because we had a lot of similar interest about sci-fi fantasy, and we've gone to different cons together, Comic Cons and stuff, and yeah. So he reached out to me when he was doing it.
Oh, nice. And speaking of Comic-Con, just looking at your bio there, sounds like that you have a pretty good time there. They actually host some panels going on. Tell us about that. And actually, the question too is, what's the best Comic-Con you've been to?
So, yeah, I've been lucky enough to go to a lot, from the very largest one, San Diego Comic-Con, to like really small ones, like some local ones in other places, right? Honestly, my favorite actually might be a small one. It's not San Diego Comic-Con. It's called San Diego Comic Fest, which is a really small one in San Diego, started by one of the founders of the original San Diego Comic-Con. And we're kind of getting back to more of the roots of that one. But everyone is just super cool there, and it's low key. And I'm starting to more like that kind of just low, easy vibe, like Comic-Con stuff. But I also, Dragon Con in Atlanta, which is one of the biggest, has always been really fun. I do a lot of panels there. I've gotten to do my Super Geeked Up improv comedy show at a lot of these cons, which is cool because usually we do it online like this. And but that's, you get to be on stage with improv actors and with audience interaction, But I've done a lot of stuff. I've got to also moderate with the celebrities at these cons sometimes. Got to do role playing games, and I've got to do a lot of cool stuff at cons.
Who are some of the celebrities you've interacted with?
So, some of the
Britney Spears?
No. Wow, that would have brought it all around full circle, though, man.
Yeah, I had to ask.
Yeah. Some of the like, I don't know if you know any of the used to be the DC shows on the CW, like Flash and Arrow and Supergirl.
Oh, Arrow.
Yeah, the Arrowverse.
Some of those actors, the Arrowverse. Yeah, exactly.
I started watching Arrow at the beginning of the pandemic, and I still never finished it. Like, it was like unlimited episodes.
Yeah, I like Arrow a lot. I mean, depending on the season, but overall, it was a really good show. But Winona Earp actors, American Gods, some Star Trek actors, some Star Trek panels, like people from Voyager and Deep Space Nine. Yeah,
nice. So the one question too, you're in New York. Why is it that you head out to San Diego? How did you head out there?
So I've been going to San Diego Comic-Con every summer for several years, doing panels and stuff. And I really dug, and I still do, San Diego. Like, I thought it's a really cool city. I felt like it was a big city that didn't feel like a big city to me. Like, it wasn't LA at all. It was much chiller. and I love the ocean. The ocean's there. The weather's perfect, right? And I don't know. I always felt like, what, it'd be nice to move out here. And also, I was still thinking at that point, maybe trying to do some film stuff, and it's not that far from LA. I need to get up there. After I got out there, I decided that's not what I wanted to do. I did not want to keep doing the film thing. But even though I did help out some friends out there in films that I knew, and I still do that. I still help out on people's films. But yeah, I don't know. At the time, I guess it was just like, I guess I really dug the city, and I felt it might make sense film-wise.
And when did you head back from San Diego?
So I actually headed back during the pandemic in like the summer of 2020. So I was only there for like almost a couple of years, just 2 years about. And then I came back here. And I've been here, so the past about 4 years or so, I've been back in the capital region.
Wow. So what is it that you're working on now? Well, actually, you have your podcast, a Super Geeked Up one, and just looking at that, man, you're doing well. Over almost 18,000 subscribers, viewers on there, and I actually watched all 440 episodes before you came on. Just so you know,
watch them on like 100 times speed.
So I haven't slept in over 6 days. Just so you know, and it's just literally it's like that scene from Clockwork Orange. My eyes were just open, just watching go on. But no, we were watching it, man. It's you literally bounce around a bunch of great topics and everything. You just keep it going, and before when we were talking offline, you have that show going on for 2 hours, man. That's a skill. Like a lot of people who want to do this, they're like, oh, do a podcast. Like you have to keep the dead air to a minimum and keep the conversation going, and that's no easy task. So how's that show going on? Do you have another one in the can already?
Yeah, well, we do that live every Wednesday night, 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific.
Oh, okay.
The Super Geeked Up YouTube channel. So yeah, I mean, so we do a new one every week generally. I mean, occasionally we'll take a week off, but yeah, I mean, that's a lot of fun. My co-host Francis Fernandez, we have a lot of fun. We just talk about different goofy, geeky topics, and we play improv games like you might see on Whose Line Is It Anyway, but like geek themed, like a twist on it. Yep. That's kind of like sci-fi fantasy comic book. And we, small but very loyal live audience that's helps us out and participates and is very chatty, and they're super supportive and great. So that's awesome. I guess I've been proud that we've done it for so long, that because we're at like 440 some episodes now.
Yeah.
How many years?
I think about 7 or so, 7, 8 years at this point.
And just so you know, John is retired, so I don't think he was joking about watching every episode. Just so you know, like he has all the time in the world these days. So he might have watched every episode.
He might have better stuff to do time than that. But
and just so you know, too,
I don't think he does.
And also, too, on the Colony Pit, I think we're up to 54 followers, which puts us in the cult following right now. So I think we have a cult following, and looking at the analytics, there we're huge in Germany. So don't let this.
Actually, Germany's one of my good. They buy my books and they watch the show. Yeah, Germany's good. You know why? Because every German person I met speaks flawless English. They do. That's true though. They learn English really well. Yeah. Anyway, well, the show nowadays though is very different than the original Super Geeked Up. Like we've leaned in more into the improv now and stuff, but it's fun. It's fun to do. That's why I keep doing it.
Nice.
And the one thing too, I saw that you have on Facebook, you have the 518 Writers Club. What's that all about?
Oh yeah, that we've been doing a year and a half maybe. And when I came back, and and since the writing has become such a big part of me, I figured like why not start a group of local writers to get together, and I reached out to some my former film screenwriting peeps, and but then there's some new people too that I didn't know they're part of it, and yeah, we get together every week at the Colony Library actually. So there you go. There's the Colony, and we'll bring some of our work, and the other people will like read it aloud or play the parts, and then we'll give constructive critique on it. So just trying to help everyone like share their work and become better writers.
How much?
And is that? Well, I was going to say, is that for books or films or a combination of both?
Actually, so some people bring screenplays, plays, novels, poems. We have a little bit of everything, which is nice.
Oh, nice.
Well, I want to ask you, and this is a little bit more of a technical question, but with the whole rapid evolution of AI and everything, how much has that factored into your creativity or process, if at all? Do you use AI at all to help you with your creative process?
So not for the writing so much, although
Okay.
occasionally I'll use AI for like maybe a character name suggestion, or actually, okay, the one time I definitely used it is I needed a corny cat joke. So I just asked ChatGPT, can you please give me some corny cat jokes? And then there was one I really liked, which I just slightly tooled, and that is one of the anthology stories actually.
Oh, nice.
And it got actually a good laugh at Writers Club. But normally no. I like to tell my own things,
Yeah.
However, I'll be honest, I do use AI nowadays. I didn't used to, but more recently to create the cover images for my books now.
Oh, yeah.
And that's
Dolly or image generators.
I use mostly Stable Diffusion, although I do use some Dolly too. Dolly 3 is quite powerful. There's a lot of different ones out there, but what I like about it is I can generally get what I'm imagining rather than trying to find a stock image that's sort of might be what I want, but not really exactly, So,
did you ever get like stuff that's like close? Because I know I've dabbled in that a little bit, but sometimes you'll get like someone with like 8 fingers instead of like 5 fingers, and it's
all
just
the
a
time.
little Yeah, okay.
Fingers is the thing it's the worst on.
Yeah.
So luckily I actually most of the time I use a program that's on my actual PC, not going web through one of those services. And because of that, number one, I can do not safe for work images, which I do for my Patreon because of the erotica. But also there's an inpainting tool, which some of them are now having anyway, which you can just select like the fingers and have it just redo that.
Gotcha.
And that's generally how I get around that. You know, you just pick the little pieces that are wrong. And if it really can't do it, I just put the hand behind the head. I'm like, I don't want to see the fingers at all then, because sometimes it really just literally cannot ever get it right.
Yeah, yeah. I've experienced that myself. Jeff, why don't you name off all your different social media channels, accounts where people can find out more about you and check out your work before we get into the closing this or that questions?
Oh, sure. Thanks. So supergeekedup.com is the Wayne website where you can find everything, actually. Super Geeked Up on YouTube. That's where you can watch us live every week. You also get all those Super Knocked Up episodes and a lot of other videos we've done. And, if you want to, like you guys said, if you subscribe is always super helpful. And RileyRoseErotica.com, that's my pen name that's where you can find the erotica stuff. And again, it's like comedic, geeky erotica is that kind of my unique take on it. And Super Geeked Up is most of the socials like Twitter and stuff is where you can find us.
Awesome.
Nice. Well, and just so you know, the Colony Pit subscribed to your channel, so we're down there.
Thank you.
We'll drop in. We'll drop in time to time.
Make sure subscribe to you guys.
Yeah, and then the rest of the folks listening, definitely subscribe and help out Jeff and take a look at his website. So actually, just before we get into it, so what are you working on right now currently? What do you have coming out soon, or you're planning to come out here in the near future?
Sorry, before I just thought of something. Have you guys ever thought about doing an episode from the pit? Does the pit still exist in Colony?
Yeah, I have thought about that, and the pit does still exist. And
that's a perfect name for it nowadays, because that's so compared to the mug, right?
The mug, yeah,
which was fairly new, I think, when we were there. I think it was only a few years old, right?
It was in its first 10 years when we were there. I think the mug opened in like 87, 88, that time frame. Yeah.
Anyway, but that'd be great. If you ever do that, that'd be great.
Yeah, I have thought about going back there, and we thought the pit gives the show a little more of an old school feel, a little more gritty, that type of feel.
Yeah. All right. If you ever do, let me know. I'll stop by.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So what I'm going to be working on now? Let's see. Well, I'm working on books all the time. I release like a lot of Kindle Vella episodes every week, and I'm always working on some new erotica book. I just released one today, actually, and but I'm also working on a new anthology story for the same anthology series that I talked about earlier with the dragons, and then we did a monsters one. This one is all about fairy tales, folklore, and fables. So it's like taking that and putting a spin on it. So I'm doing Hansel and Gretel sci-fi, basically stuff.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and the first draft is due this Sunday, actually. So I'm trying to finish that off right now.
Sweet. And how many pages does a novella consist of?
The anthology stories, you mean?
Yeah.
Those are limited.
Excuse me, the anthology stories.
Those are limited to 7,000 words. We deal in words rather than pages usually in author stuff, but I'm trying to think what that would be. And I don't know, 20-ish pages.
Wow.
20 to 30.
Okay.
They can be less too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're generally around that.
Nice.
No, that's awesome, dude. Yeah, so for everyone listening, definitely follow Jeff. Definitely subscribe to his channel and check out his website, see what's going on. So Jeff, thanks for everything. But before we end, we have a couple questions here to run by, kind of get your take on it. Just seeing, reading your bio and kind of getting your sense on here. So this is going to make or break you with your fans here. It's seeing how you answer these questions. So, Rex, you want to give them the first one?
Yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned about it, though, Jeff, because we have like a whopping 40 subsubscribers. So I don't think you're in any jeopardy.
Yeah, Germany loves us.
Yes. I'll just skip around a little bit here. Back in the day, which movie are you watching? Fletch, Spies Like Us, or Three Amigos?
You always present me with these like impossible choices. Fletch, Spies Like Us, or Three Amigos?
Yeah.
Spies Like Us.
All right.
Ooh, not bad.
By the way, I have the only thing I listen to in the car is the Sirius 80s station, and they play Spies Like Us sometimes. The song.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
So here's one TV show. Which TV show are you watching? Unsolved Mysteries, Ripley's Believe It or Not, or In Search Of?
None of the above.
Really?
Sorry, yeah, I'm not into any of those kind of shows.
No.
And I never watched any of them.
I thought you're gonna lean towards In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy back in the day.
Oh, did he do
late
that?
70s. Yeah, that's when he came out with all those like bizarre stories. It's In Search Of. It's always, if you watch it now, it has like a weird, eerie feel to it. So,
and I do love Leonard Nimoy,
but not bad.
Yeah.
Best Quentin Tarantino movie: True Romance, Natural Born Killers, or Reservoir Dogs?
Kill Bill.
Kill Bill. All right.
Sorry, I know that wasn't.
That's all right.
Gosh.
All right, so here we go. Which cartoon are you watching? G.I. Joe, He-Man, or Thundercats?
Okay, so all those are some of the best cartoons ever made of all time, and I loved all of them. But my all-time favorite is G.I. Joe.
Okay,
very nice. And did you know anyone that had the aircraft carrier?
I don't know. I had the hovercraft, which was quite big.
Oh, okay.
I had so many G.I. Joe, man. Like, I had so many of those figures. I love those things. Like that in Star Wars. I wish I kept that in all my Star Wars figures.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's like mega bucks right now, having all those toys.
Yeah.
I don't think I knew anybody with the aircraft carrier, though. Yeah.
What movie, or another movie choice question here? Flash Gordon, Tron, or The Last Starfighter?
Flash Gordon. That's tough between that and Tron, though. Flash Gordon.
Yeah.
Well, they actually did it about 10 years ago. They tried, but I want a new Flash Gordon. I think that's a property they could revive.
Yeah, rumor have it Johnny Depp was supposed to do one for years, but never got off the ground.
That would have been something.
So we'll see. Here's one for you. Which John movie are you watching? The Killer, Face Off, or Hard Boiled?
Oh my God. Is it in my bio somewhere that I love John Woo? No, it's not, right? How did you guys know that?
We do our research here. Like I said, that's why the Germans love us. We do our research for the pit.
I told you, John's retired. He's got a lot of time on his hands.
So I became a huge John Woo fan in college because I had a lot of Asian sweet mates who introduced me to it. But those are all amazing. But Hard Boiled is my all-time favorite action movie. Hard Boiled. It's
agreed.
Best John Hughes movie: Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, or Weird Science?
Oh, I thought for sure I was going to say Breakfast Club, but then you threw in Weird Science.
Yeah, it's a classic.
Weird Science.
Weird Science? Yeah.
Nice. All right, here we go. Best John Carpenter movie: Escape from New York, The Thing, or Big Trouble in Little China?
Escape from New York.
Not bad.
Nice.
I mean, it's hard to go wrong with most of these choices, to be honest with you.
All right. I think we got one left, John. I'll finish it up here. Which TV show are you watching back in the day? Airwolf, Star Trek the original, or Star Trek Next Generation?
Star Trek Next Generation. That is
with Jean-Luc Picard.
Deep Space Nine and that one, and Next Generation are my 2 favorite shows of all time.
Awesome.
Nice.
I was hoping you were going to say the A-Team, to be honest with you, because that's the show. As a kid,
I would agree.
That was a kid. That was my favorite show. Was the A-Team.
I would agree with you on that.
So I was going to throw the Fall Guy in there too. I said, if it's 70s, if I said,
and they're about to come out with
like
movie.
Dukes of Hazzard. Yeah, that's coming out. A couple of months? I think it's coming out.
Might be even earlier, but sometime soon. Sometime very soon. Yes, it might.
Yeah, that actually looks pretty good.
Awesome.
Well, Jeff, dude, thanks for joining us. We truly, truly appreciate it. And for the rest of those folks that are listening, as we always say, please subscribe and follow, and definitely give Jeff a watch. Subscribe and follow for his podcast, Super Knocked Up. And on that note, Jeff, we'll talk to you soon. And Pat, I'll turn it over to you, my friend.
Thank you for having me, guys.
No. Yeah, thanks, Jeff, for catching up with us. And Jeff's podcast is Super Geeked Up. His YouTube film series called Super Knocked Up. Check out both and give Jeff some support. And once again, subscribe to the Colony Pit, and maybe someday we will film from the pit. But until then, see you later. Peace out.